Andre, we've got some breaking Ford/EV truck news.
Exactly. According to Automotive News, Ford F-150 electric pickup truck is going to stop production at their Michigan facility starting on November 18th through the remainder of this year. This is almost 2 months because they say they're going to restart production on January 6th of next year.
Now, for some of the people that may be celebrating the death of the electric truck, this news is a little bit more nuanced than it sounds. And in this video, we're going to go over and talk about electric truck sales, not just the Lightning, but the Rivian, the Cybertruck, and we're going to tell you why this may not be the death of the electric truck. So let's get right into it, Andre.
Well, our producer Zach wrote a beautiful news story here on TFLtruck.com, and you can, of course, get to it at alltfl.com. And we have a table right here. So we can actually look at the sales from first 9 months of 2024 and how it compares to first 9 months of 2023.
And this is where the nuance comes in.
Yes. And look at this. Everybody who is listed here is growing in sales.
Do you want to go through the table? Go through the table, starting at the top. Yeah.
But it's a little cloudy at the top of this table because Tesla kind of clumps the Cybertruck sales along with Model X and Model S sales. But we have some information that about 3 weeks ago, Tesla recalled 185 Cybertrucks, almost 27,000 Cybertrucks. So they at least built that many.
Okay.
Right? And they're growing, at least according to this table, by about 34% as far as year over year. Rivian is growing very, very little, but they still sold 37,396 vehicles in the first 9 months. That includes the SUV, the truck, and the van.
All right, and keep in mind that the Cybertruck is now the most popular electric truck out there. And as far as I'm aware, the third most popular electric vehicle in America right now. So for those who hate the Cybertruck, that is certainly a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, I mean, there's still demand for it, right? That's basically what it shows. And of course, F-150 Lightning, this is kind of where the story originates. Through the first 9 months of this year, Ford sold 22,807 of them, but that's an increase of 86% year over year.
And that's the head scratcher because, you might be wondering, why is Ford closing production of the Cybertruck, of the Lightning, when they've increased year-over-year sales by, what did you say,
86%.
Yeah, and I think the answer to that might be that they overbuilt.
Yeah, so what usually happens, at least for traditional manufacturers, right? The factory's churning trucks or cars, and what happens if the demand slows and a lot of them are staying at the dealerships, right? And I think this is what may be happening at Ford dealerships right now.
I also think it's more than just a demand question; it's also a pricing question. Mm-hmm. You remember when the work truck first came out, the Lightning? It was $39,000.
Yeah, and we saw one at $42,000 with pretty nice equipment.
Yeah, and then it quickly ramped up to over $80,000 for the long-range Lightning. And I think Ford certainly found where the ceiling, at least price-wise, is for that truck. And it's certainly not an $80,000 truck. And that's, I think, why a lot of them were sitting on the dealership. And they actually dropped prices to try to move them.
Recently, exactly. And there's some incentives right now. I just was on the local Ford dealership website just before this recording. And they have one discounted Lightning, brand new, sitting right there. GMC Hummer EV also kind of lumps together the SUV and the truck. They sold 8,902 vehicles in the first 9 months of this year, which is an increase of 632%. Well, that's kind of, the overall number is pretty small, but it's still increasing.
Yeah, well, that truck is so expensive that
$120,000.
That I'm hoping that GM is actually making a profit on those. How about the Silverado? What's going on with that?
Yeah, Silverado sold for the same period 5,252 trucks, and the GMC Sierra EV just started selling just recently, and they sold 387 of them. So, electric pickup trucks are still moving some units.
Yeah, but there is some pretty dark clouds on the horizon. If you look at profit and loss, this year alone, Ford, for its electric vehicle division, lost $3.7 billion, Andre. That's with a B.
With a B.
And if we look at last quarter, How many billion did they lose?
1.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ford kind of divides their overall business into three divisions. Electric division that we just talked about. There's also the Blue division, which is traditional internal combustion vehicles. And there's also the Pro division, which is commercial vehicle division. So overall, the company is doing okay-ish.
So the company itself is not losing money.
Yeah.
It's actually making money.
Because of the other divisions, right? But the electric division is losing quite a lot.
Would it be fair to say that the F-150 and the Super Duty is basically allowing Ford to build Lightnings and Mach-Es?
Yeah, and I think a lot of these losses not just come from slow sales or slowing
R&D?
sales. It's also factory building, right? They're building factories, facilities, research and development, like you said. So I think a lot of those losses come from those areas.
So let's switch over and kind of do a little editorial here because we have driven all of these trucks. And so we'll give you a quick take on what we think are the ups and downs, the pluses and minuses of each truck. So shall we go back to the graph and start with the Cybertruck?
Yeah, but before we do that, our producer Zach wants us to mention that Ford is kind of also banking on hybrids in a big way, right? And that's one way that they're gaining sales. They have the Maverick. The refreshed Maverick is just around the corner. They have F-150 hybrids. GM is not doing any hybrids, really. I mean, they're focused on either V8s or turbos, or they're focused on electrics.
You know what number struck me? We just got an email from the Scout forum, right? The new Scout that was just introduced. There's, of course, a forum for that. And they've been tracking the number of sales and the number of reservations based on all electric versus the vehicles with the range extender. What percentage do you think of the current reservations, at least the ones they've been tracking? I think they're up to about 800 or so on the forum, have been the one with the range extender.
81%, Roman.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that kind of tells you where we're at right now, where people are at. When a brand new electric vehicle comes out and it offers a range extender
or not
option, that's what people go for. And I think that bodes well for Ram and their electric range extender if it ever comes out.
Exactly, because we haven't seen any updates on this Ram Charger, right?
All right, let's get back. Let's talk about the Tesla Cybertruck. If you're curious, we own one. We currently have one. And my hot take on the Tesla Cybertruck is that there are a lot of YouTube videos and posts and forum mentions that just tear into it. But actually, we've put on over 10,000 miles on ours.
Almost 11,000.
Yeah, and Andre and I were just driving it back from picking up some wheels, and we were trying to come up with a list of 5 things we hate about it, and we struggled.
Yeah, but we did come up with this.
Yes, we did, and there'll be a video out shortly, so I don't want to spoil that. But in general, if you're not looking to tow, I think that the Cybertruck, if you can get past the looks, I understand how polarizing that is.
It's a look thing.
It's actually a really good vehicle. It's easy to use with all-wheel steering. It's easy to park.
It's ready to go. I mean, it has a lot of good software.
It has, probably one of the best software systems out there, so it really works well with my life and my phone. And it's actually really good off-road. So I would say a lot of the Cybertruck hate out there is from people who are, I believe, turned off by the looks and can't get past that. But I'm actually surprised because I've been converted. I originally thought this is, probably the best cyber car and worst Cybertruck out there. And now I'm kind of on the page that it's a pretty darn good electric truck. All right, what's next? You want to do a hot take on the Cybertruck? I don't want to cut you off.
I agree mostly with what you said, except, a couple of the things that we came up with, or I came up with as far as dislikes, is visibility is one.
Hey, don't spoil the video.
Visibility.
You'll go over to LTFL. We'll have a video. We'll show you what we love and hate about it.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go to Rivian.
Yes, Rivian. Now, we haven't owned a Rivian, but we've driven them all.
Yeah, several of them. And recently, second generation R1s are coming out, right? So they're increasing their powers. It's really a lifestyle truck. So, and it's kind of just a little bit bigger than the Tacoma, and it's smaller than the F-150. So it's kind of this tweener truck. And, our experience has been very positive. It tows really well. Of course, it has the range problem.
Freaking fast.
It's super fast.
Well, maybe, dare I say, too fast or too quick.
Well, the new quad motor one I tested did 130 mile an hour, 10.5-second quarter mile.
Yeah, that's just... So that's faster than like sports cars from the 90s.
Most exotic cars,
yes. Let's call them supercars from the 90s. You would blow away, pick your 90s Ferrari, Porsche.
Or even some of the current sports cars you can blow away.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it's I really like the interior of the Rivian. I don't know. What about you? As far
I think
as
it's
the
very
design?
elegant.
Yeah.
My biggest hot take on it is, there's a second generation of it, but it looks identical to the first generation. And we know that, like the Tri-5 Chevys, there's a reason why Chevy at that time basically kept the chassis of the vehicle and then changed the look very dramatically every year. And I'm worried about Rivian because there's just no reason for your neighbor to come over if you buy the new one and say, hey, did you get a new truck? Because it looks just like the old truck.
Yeah, the differences are super subtle. Super subtle.
All under the skin for the most part. All right.
F-150 Lightning.
Which we owned.
We've owned it for a while. We've put like 14,000 miles on it in half a year.
We drove it up to Prudhoe Bay, my man.
Through Alaska. You did it with the team, David and the rest of the team.
Yeah, we drove it from Detroit. We've cross-country it. What's your hot take on the Lightning?
It's a solid F-150, period, right? I mean, Ford knows how to build F-Series trucks. They know trucks. So the one we owned never broke down, never had any issues, even with the software, was really solid. Of course, it has range issues, towing range issues. But I thought, and you know what? It was a little bit stealthy. When we would park it somewhere, people may not realize it's an electric Ford. They just think it's a Ford.
My hot take is, with two big caveats, it's the best F-150 out there, and I'm talking about all of them, including the gas ones, with the fact that it rides incredibly well. It's super quiet. Like you said, it's super stealthy. The drivetrain is smooth as silk.
Yes.
And it's just a joy around town. Now, the two biggest caveats I have are it doesn't tow for,
very far?
Yeah, Ford says the extended range one gets 320 miles of range.
No.
We were stopping and charging under 200 miles when we were driving.
300.
Under 200, I was saying. We never got to 300.
Oh, you mean towing or not towing?
Not towing, just driving across country. I don't think I ever stopped close to, over 200 miles.
Yeah, but we put a camper on it. And
we put off-road tires. Yeah. And two, it doesn't have enough ground clearance, so it's really not great off-road.
It's not a Raptor for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Hot take on the Hummer, which we also owned.
Yeah, Hummer EV truck we owned for a little while, half a year. And it's really a moonshot, right? I mean, it looks, they have moon topography on the thing, and they threw everything at it. But one huge caveat, one huge downside of it, well, other than the price, it's its weight. It weighs as much as a small town.
Yes,
right?
It does, yes. Or a bunch of elephants put together. I agree.
It weighs over 9,000 pounds at the curb.
Yeah, so I got two hot takes. First and foremost is the vehicle that I took off-road recently and the one that we bought are drastically different. So GM, in typical GM fashion, has been quietly working away, improving it. So, it left me stranded off both on and on road when we had it. And the software on the off-road ability has improved 100% since then. Even though it doesn't look any different, it is much different. And the other hot take is, this is the ultimate lifestyle vehicle. If you want to go...
it's showy.
If you want to go topless, hair in the wind, and you want to, you want to be brazen about, that you're about as American as it gets. That's the truck to get.
Yeah, remove the top panels. It's really fast. It's loud. It's loud in every sense. It's big. You could see it from a mile away. So yeah, it's cool.
Throw some Leonard Skinner on the radio, and have yourself a party. All right, what's next?
Silverado EV and Sierra EV. They're really brother trucks, right?
Yes.
They're very, very similar.
Longest range of any EV truck right now.
That's the one hot take, I think, is that they have the biggest batteries and the longest range, and that accounts for both towing and not towing, right? We tested the Silverado EV work truck with a large trailer, and it went over 212 miles with that trailer.
Yeah, my hot take is that GM just seems to get the timing wrong. You remember the Volt?
Yes.
That was basically a range extender.
Cool car.
Yeah, it was a cool car.
Yeah.
Basically, it was a range extender. And finally, it was 10 or 14 years since that thing came out, I think 10 years, we have finally gotten to the point where people understand and want range extenders, and yet there's no Volt. I'm worried that the Silverado EV may be a little too early. In other words, the market out there is ready for hybrid trucks,
or range extended trucks.
But they're not ready for, and this goes for all these trucks, they're not ready for all electric trucks. And so maybe once again, it's a case of GM just getting there too early. And the question is, will they be able to sustain? Because they've put a lot of time, energy, money, and effort into making this the next big truck. And I'm not sure, like I said, if the timing is quite right.
And we're going to be testing a lot more of these, right? Because they have a new Silverado EV LT. They have several new Sierras coming out soon, so we'll be testing more of them. Did you notice there is no Stellantis on this list? Ram is not here.
They're late to the party, my man.
Or maybe just right.
Or maybe just right.
Or maybe just right.
Okay, all right. I worry, and I said they're late to the party because we know when these trucks are supposed to come out, but yet we have not seen the typical rollout yet.
No, we haven't.
Where we're not seeing mules running around. We're not seeing, camouflage vehicles running around, which
we don't have invitations to certain events.
So maybe, and then it takes a while to get the factory up and running. So right now, obviously, Stellantis, Ram, they're busy building RHOs. So maybe that's a smart. Maybe that's a smart move. Time will tell. Are we forgetting any trucks? Any electric trucks? Is there anything that the other one that supposedly is coming, right? Is the Gladiator 4xe.
Right, but it's hybrid. It's not a range extended.
It's a plug-in hybrid truck.
It's a plug-in hybrid.
And Jeep is doing really well with the 4xe Wrangler. So that also may be good timing because right now the Gladiator is kind of old and a little tired.
Sales are declining in a big way.
Sales are declining.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the question, that begs being asked is, is Toyota going to get into the EV game? We have a hybrid.
Toyota is huge on hybrids.
We have a hybrid
like
Tacoma
Ford is becoming,
a hybrid Tundra, but the problem with those hybrids is they don't give you a lot more fuel economy. I mean, they're great for, giving you more oomph and more towing and torque, but I think when people think of hybrid, and this is because of Toyota and the Prius, of course, they think of better fuel economy, and yet both the Tacoma and the Tundra, what percent, how many more miles per gallon do you get when you get the hybrid Tundra versus the non-hybrid?
Well, it depends on the truck configuration, but it's between 1 and 3. So, I mean, if you're talking about 21 without the hybrid and like 24 with the hybrid, it's not a huge increase in efficiency.
Yeah, that's a hard one to
I don't get it.
It'd be hard to justify the extra cost of getting the hybrid, unless you need to tow super heavy or unless.
It's also added weight, as we found out.
Yeah,
batteries weigh something, and electric motors weigh something, and more complexity, of course.
So there you have it, guys. Is Ford stopping production of the Lightning a signal of things to come, or is it just blip?
A temporary blip on the radar.
I think, Andre, if I were making a guess, I think, like we said, the hot part of the market right now, especially going with those Scout results, is the hybrid or the range extenders.
Ram Charger, come on.
The door is open. The party is hopping.
Walk in.
Come on in. or if you don't like this party, head on over to the Hemi party because that thing's raucous. You just need to bring it back. All right, guys. Okay. Remember, go over to alltfl.com. Thanks for watching, and we shall see you next time. Ciao.